6 p.m. in Yaoundé, that is in the political capital of Cameroon. Once more, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogway. One of Cameroon's leading English newspaper has been banned from operating in the southwest region. Tonight, we'll explain to you why and also ask our guest what a decision means for press freedom in the country. And now to something else, the death toll from the devastating floods that hit the Libyan city of Derna has risen to 5,100. At least 7,000 people have been injured, with 5,000 others reported missing. Thousands of families are now stranded as a result of the natural catastrophe. And now to sports. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon has secured their ticket for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations, which will be played in Ivory Coast. The Lions defeated the Swallows of Burundi with a 3-0 score at the Rumde Aja Stadium last night. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Good evening once more, and thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. You made the right choice. We begin over there in Ezeka, 13th of September 1958, 13th of September 2023. This marks exactly 65 years since Ruben Umnyobe was murdered by the French army near his natal village of Bumyebel in the central region of Cameroon. Today, Cameroonians across the national territory celebrate a man who fearlessly fought for the independence of Cameroon. And in the same vein, while fighting for the independence of Cameroon, September, we'll talk about today across the national territory celebrating a man who fiercely fought for the independence of Cameroon. While commemorating the 65th edition or anniversary of the UPC party, some UPC members in Ezeka Central region had a disagreement that led to a fight. Sources say the fight involved the clan of Robert Bapo and Pierre Belenginkot. It took the intervention of pastors from the EPC to calm down the situation. And away from that, we now talk something else. We talk the management of the Post newspaper, however, argues that the controversial story was still to be deliberated. We'll come to this story about the Post newspaper, where Annabella says the Post newspaper is disappointed with what the ban that was given to them by the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalabilai. According to the management, the report or the major headline that was written on that paper wasn't meant to be published online. Annabella spoke with the editor-in-chief of the Post newspaper in Boya, and he tells us more.
The newspaper, The Post, one of the most prominent English newspapers in Cameroon, received sanctions from the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okalabilai. The root cause is the front page of last Monday's edition of the newspaper, which insinuates that 66% of Cameroonians are for a military coup d'etat. The Southwest Administrative Boss, in his communique banning the publication and distribution of the Boya-based newspaper in the Southwest, accuses management of perturbing public order. The editor-in-chief of the Post newspaper, Budi Adams, says it was a leaked soft copy on social media and was not the final edition.
After we realized what was happening, we sent out a communique saying that this is the authentic edition, and we sent the edition out. So we received it, just like readers, with a lot of shock.
Before the communique of the Southwest Governor, the National Communication Council, which is the organ to regulate press excesses or offences in Cameroon, had called the attention of the Post newspaper on the controversial headline of the paper's soft copy.
We are waiting for the decision from the NCC, which we know is the regulatory body for media organs in Cameroon. So we are waiting for that decision from the NCC.
Meantime, the management of the Boya-based newspaper is willing to continue feeding and informing its esteemed readers with credible information.
We have our readers and advertisers and the public that look up to us for direction and to make informed choices. So we will circulate the paper elsewhere, not in the Southwest.
The Post, which is a bi-weekly newspaper, was founded in 1997, having as pioneer publisher and editor-in-chief the late Francis Wati and Chalindi Chia respectively. Over the years, the paper has stood the test of time and is considered by readers as one of the most credible and prominent newspapers in Cameroon.
And now we talk something else. SDF first vice national president has been named chairman of the party, and Joshua Osei's appointment has sparked a debate amongst party members. Babla Jonathan reports on what must have provoked this debate among the party members of the Social Democratic Front SDF party.
He is now the co-opted national chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party. First Vice President Honorable Osei Joshua was raised to the top position by the National Executive Committee to fill the gap created by the death of Nijon Frundi.
We are obliged to have permanently somebody who acts as national president while waiting for the upcoming Congress, which shall be held on the 27th and the 28th of October 23.
The decision taken at the last National Executive Committee meeting is backed by Article 18.6 of the party's constitution. The decision is challenged by some former members of the party on grounds that the article mentioned in the National Executive Committee NEC resolution has nothing to do with the designation of a co-opted national chairman. It says an official may be removed during his or her term of office through a vote of no confidence against such an official passed by a simple majority of the membership of the convention, conference, or assembly.
If this announcement is true, it will be a coup d'etat against the internal rules and regulations of the SDF and an attempt to carry out a fait accompli to eternally postpone the date of the Congress by acting from now on as national president. Rather, it is Article 18.5, which speaks of replacement in the event of death. Section 18.5 states that the NEC designates a replacement subject to ratification by Congress when it comes to the NEC.
Meantime, Honorable Osei Joshua will henceforth act as national chairman of the SDF till the election of a new chairman.
And out of our borders, the military junta in Gabon has modified the 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. curfew time and ending the former overdue curfew time that began with former President Ali Bongo. Business people in Libreville, Gabon, however, say the new move is not enough to limit the huge economic impact incurred. We have details with our reporter, Femi Armstrong-Sanda.
Gabon and Gabonese are currently grappling with another phase of their second curfew imposed by successive administration from the Ali Bongo era. The curfew from Ali Bongo was imposed immediately after the August 26, 2023 general election. It was intended to last till the publication of the election result. However, soldiers who took over power on August 30, 2023 adopted and extended it indefinitely, a decision that left Gabon and Gabonese businessmen and women badly hit. They say markets in Libreville, for example, have their peak period in the evening, so closing them at 6 p.m. means halting businesses at their best. However, they hope that things will be different with the modification of the curfew time by the military leaders. The officials have extended the curfew from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. to the relief and satisfaction of most Gabonese. Businessmen and women in Gabon, however, say that the impact on their business will not be fully resolved by the decision, as corporate workers who leave work late in the night prefer shopping as from 8 p.m. in Libreville. Though opting to abide with every move of the new government, the Gabonese businessmen and women say that the situation will even be more challenging as Gabon prepares for the start of the new academic year come September the 18th, 2023.
And still out of our borders, we now focus on one of our major lead stories. At least 5,000 people are reported dead, 7,000 injured and about 5,000 still missing in Libya following the collapse of a dam. The collapse was triggered by heavy rains that flooded the area. Away from Libya, French President Emmanuel Macron urges Morocco to accept aid from France as the death toll increases to 3,000. A roundup of these stories with our reporter, Malaglari.
The eastern Libyan city of Derna on Wednesday counted thousands of deaths after two dams broke under the pressure of torrential rains, sweeping everything on its path. Derna and other towns are virtually cut off from the rest of the world, despite efforts by the authorities to restore cell phone and internet networks. However, Libya's spokesman for Emergency and Rescue Service said that the flood had left more than 2,300 dead and at least 7,000 injured persons, while more than 5,000 people are still missing. As Morocco grapples with the devastation of Friday night's earthquake, French President Emmanuel Macron has reiterated his support for the country and its people while brushing aside strained relations between Paris and Rabat. This comes after Morocco rejected offers of aid from France. Macron urges Morocco to accept French aid of 5 million euros for Moroccan NGOs contributing to relief efforts. Despite declining to take up offer, Morocco has accepted aid from Spain, the UK, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. And over to the USA, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, bowing to pressure from his party's hard right, gave the go-ahead on Tuesday for an impeachment investigation into U.S. President Joe Biden. McCarthy said that the Democratic president had lied to the American people about his son Hunter's foreign business dealings. The business dealings in Ukraine and China by Biden's 53-year-old son Hunter, a recovering drug addict, is currently under investigation by a Justice Department special counsel for possible tax evasion and is expected to be charged by the end of this month on a firearms violation.
And now we take this note on sports. The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have secured their ticket for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, which will be played in Ivory Coast. The Indomitable Lions yesterday at the Rumde Aja Stadium defeated the Swallows of Burundi with a score of 3-0, taking us a ticket for the Africa Cup of Nations come 2023 that will be played in Ivory Coast. That's it for the first part. Talking Point is up next. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us on this edition of Talking Point. On today's edition, I'll be receiving a veteran journalist, and he is Charlie Ndichia, and we'll be talking about the recent ban placed on the Post newspaper by the governor of the Southwest region, Bena Okalabilai. Charlie Ndichia, the governor did not specify the exact edition of the publication that provoked the decision. As an observer of the Post newspaper, which of the editions do you think prompted the governor to take such a decision?
Now, the first thing I say here is that it is not an issue of the edition or not. And I am not an observer, an ordinary observer of the Post, because I started the Post. The Post is my baby. And all things said and done, I'm a shareholder of the Post, so I should have a bigger interest than the governor or whoever else. And then again, it's not a question of edition or not. The point is that the governor shot from the hip. Let me be very blunt. Let me call things by their name. I don't know, I think from his communique or what he signed, we learned that instructions came from a certain Minister of Communication, who is Tanganji Paul. Okay, that was not necessary, banning the Post or stopping the Post from circulating in the Southwest region. To me, his action is like removing the ladder so that the birds should not perch on the roof. That was kind of a stupid thing to take. I mean, collectively stupid, whether it came from the governor or from the minister or from whoever else. You don't just unilaterally ban or suspend a newspaper in that way. It doesn't speak well for what we pompously refer to in this country as democracy.
And now, does a decision fall within the competence of the governor to sanction the Post newspaper?
I think it does, because our laws are yo-yo. The laws in this country are yo-yo. They say one thing here, it's like so many cooks responsible for the same pot of soup. One of them puts salt, the other njanga, the other tomatoes, and the other a bit of water and oil and so on. Everybody bringing in their own without any coordination. So we have I suspect that you'll soon be asking me about the National Communication Council. We have that body, which is, by all means, it is independent, very independent, and should take its responsibility. But then certain, the same laws, same nest of laws, put it in such a way that some overzealous fellows from elsewhere can meddle. I think so. Yeah, he can do it, just like A minister or B minister. But what is the use? What is the use when the National Communication Council is there with very competent people?
What do you think might have prompted the fast reaction and ban from the government?
Let me ask you my own question. Have you ever met a cornered rat or a cornered snake? When a snake is cornered, it fights back, by all means. When a rat is cornered, I mean, look, let's look at the psychology of the rat when it is cornered. It fights back. When somebody is drowning, the person will want to drown with anything, with anyone, anybody near him. You see, this is a G3 system. I'll draw your attention to what happened between the same loquacious Tanganji and a general, Isai Mambo, I think Mambo also, when the guy went to church and made certain things, and then instantly, the very next day, since it concerned the military, the government apparently, those who rule the roost in this country, they decided that, okay, it is not for you, the general, to decide how we run the country. You, the soldiers, are supposed to be at our beck and call, and we rule the roost, and not you. So he was asked. I think it was the same thing that happened in the case of the Post. They had to shoot from the hip again. You know, the general was demoted and disgraced, yes. The Post too has been disgraced in another way. But you don't do that to the media. You don't do that to the press. They'll come back to, except the only person who can insult a crocodile is the one who is already out of the waters. But you are not in the waters, and then you insult the crocodile, in this case, the media, and to a narrower extent, the Post newspaper.
As a veteran journalist, what does such a ban mean to press freedom in Cameroon?
I think it strengthens. It only tells you that look, those of us who are stakeholders direct stakeholders of the media or press freedom. It tells us that, look, the enemy is not asleep. Those who want to practice democracy in the breach are fully at work, are still at work. and that we need to wake up and fight decently. We don't fight the way that pigs fight in the mud. And I think I enjoyed what Kinney wrote. It was a mea culpa, so to speak. He rightly indicated it was like, okay, it was mea culpa. It was some penitent approach, some atonement, more or less. So we did this. We know that we breached it. It was because of this. It was a slip in the production line. That is why this thing came out, and that's enough. You don't kick a man who is already down. You don't even in legality, when the accused or the one is found guilty even of murder, there are attenuating circumstances, not to talk of that may set the man free, or that may cause the judge to tamper justice with mercy. And if in this case, if the governor was a judge, I mean, it is ridiculous that a governor gets up and is banning a newspaper. It is very ridiculous. And let me insist that the Governor's Act is like removing the ladder so that the birds shouldn't perch on the roof.
Look at the situation at hand. How do you think journalism unions should handle such a case?
Unfortunately, you're asking the right person and the wrong person at the same time, because I'm supposed to be president of the National Union of Journalists in Cameroon. But when you have so many splinters, and when you have journalists only eager to dance to the tune of who pays, when you have, when our journalism has been overtaken by what I usually refer to as journalists of the next of kin, or cocktail journalists, when we only practice cocktail journalism, whereby you sing for the guy who pays for you. For instance, if the governor beckons you now, you run there, you rush to the place helter-skelter, because you know that, okay, he'll give you 5,000 later on, and so on. And then you submit your sanctity, you submit your dignity, you submit your sovereignty as the fourth estate to the governor, or to whoever else, or to the money bag that can pay you little money. If we don't work as a team whereby if you touch one, you have touched all. And I've practiced journalism in Nigeria, and I know that whether in Nigeria, whether it is the private or the official media, when you touch one person, you have touched the rest. If tomorrow that same governor looks around and he wants coverage, and nobody goes because of what he has done to one of their own, one of theirs, the guy will adjust, and he'll probably get down on his, not only on his knees, but on his belly, and you'll find the governor begging that, please, I offended you, the media, come back, I won't do that again, and things like that. Otherwise, I think that the Post just has to to get up and look at where they fell, and then walk on.
Thank you so much, Charlie Ndicha, for being part of Talking Point today. Equally thanks to you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. That will put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast. Have a wonderful evening.